Hey, this is Danny from Scare Talk. Before we get into all the horror greatness, I gotta let you know about Anchor. Anchor is the host site that we use to record our podcast. Anchor will upload your podcast to Apple and Spotify and many other listening platforms. Anchor is completely free, and you can download the app or go to the website, anchor.fm, and you can record straight on there. There's also some cool editing tools that you can use. Did I mention that it's free? Yeah, so if you want to make a podcast, Anchor is the way to go. Go check it out. Now, for the spooky stuff.
Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror fans. This podcast will cover horror movie reviews, ratings, and rankings. Now for your hosts, Danny and Joel.
Okay, this is Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I'm here with Juicy Fruit Joel.
Hey guys, what's up? Oh man, all these J candies I forget about.
Yeah, I mean that's I think that's gum, but whatever.
Yeah, it's sweet. It counts, right?
Yeah, we'll count it.
What is it? Juji.
It could have been jelly beans. I could have done jelly beans. Yeah. Jelly belly.
Almond joy, but what's that?
Joy. Yeah, there you go. Okay, we're talking about candy because we're going to talk about Candyman.
Man,
yeah,
yes.
That 2021 film just came out a little bit ago, and it's definitely drummed up some conversation. So let's talk about it.
I would say so.
Joel, who's in this?
So this one stars, I'm going to mispronounce this guy's name, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II.
All right.
He plays Anthony, our main character. He is in Aquaman 1, and he will be in 2. Oh. He's in Us. He is in the series Watchmen on HBO. And he will be in the next Matrix 4 movie, Matrix 4 Resurrections.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And we also have Teyona Paris. She's Brianna, and she is in Dear White People, 22. I think that was like a Netflix movie or something like that.
Yeah, perfect.
20 keeps with the theme, right? 22 episodes of Mad Men. If Beale Street Could Talk, which is a Hulu movie, I believe.
Okay.
And 7 episodes of the Marvel MCU show WandaVision.
Okay.
Yeah, she's going to be in an upcoming Marvel movie too, from the director of this director. So
yeah.
And we also have Coleman Domingo. He is William Burke. And he is in 84 episodes of Fear the Walking Dead, and I think the character's still alive on that show.
Wait, Fear the Walking Dead? That show's still happening?
Yeah.
So they got both still going?
Oh, they've got Walking Dead, which is on its last season. They got Fear the Walking Dead, which who knows how long that show. I'm surprised the show's even still on. And they have like another spin-off that's like made it's about like teenagers in the apocalypse. So it's more like targeted towards like teens, towards like kids, I guess. So yeah.
Wow.
And they're gonna do another spin-off here after the Walking Dead is over as well.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
He is also in If Beale Street Could Talk and Selma.
Okay.
And this was written by 4 people. Well, I hesitate because there's the last person that I'm going to mention. The other 3 says screenplay, but the 4th person doesn't say anything. Okay. So I don't know what his contribution was to this particular movie.
Gotcha.
But it was written by Jordan Peele.
Yep.
which I'm also going to be talking about here in a little bit as well.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote Key and Peele. The movie Keanu, which is about them finding it's Key and Peele, a movie. It's a comedy. And Keanu is the name of a cat.
Okay.
It's a pretty funny movie actually. And 29 episodes of Mad TV.
Yeah.
Win Rosenfeld is another writer, and this person wrote one episode of Twilight Zone.
Okay.
That's it.
Is it the Jordan Peele Twilight Zone?
Yeah, it's the Jordan Peele Twilight Zone, yeah.
Okay.
And we've got Nia DaCosta, our director, and she wrote Little Woods Ghost Tape, which is a series, and that's it. There's a couple others, but they were like shorts.
Okay.
And so the fourth person is Bernard Rose, which I just talked about this guy in the last one. He was the writer and director of the last movie. Okay. And so
it's probably characters.
It might be. Well, characters is Clive Barker.
True. But
so I don't know.
I don't know because I'm almost positive that the characters in Candyman the movie is very different from the story itself is similar, but the characters I think are very different. Like the Clive Barker film or short story takes place in like England, and it's different.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah, it might be him getting credit for the actual movie itself,
right, from the original.
So I wanted to mention him just in case, like, he actually was involved in this movie. So he wrote Candyman, 1992, Samurai Marathon, and Boxing Day.
So that's a good holiday.
Yeah.
I think that's a Canadian holiday.
I think it's Canadian, yeah. I think it's like around Christmas.
Yeah.
And this was directed by Nia DaCosta. She directed Little Woods, and 2 upcoming movies. One's still in development, and the other one's a Marvel movie. In development is The Lincoln Conspiracy.
Oh,
sounds interesting. And the Marvel movie is The Marvels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Captain Marvel sequel.
Okay.
So
cool. All right, so a synopsis here. A sequel to the horror film Candyman that returns to the now gentrified Chicago neighborhood where the legend began.
A sequel? Or...
It says a sequel to the horror film.
Wow,
yeah.
Okay.
On
Not
IMDb.
A spiritual sequel.
Yeah, they must have changed that.
They must have changed it. Yeah.
It definitely used
People
to say that.
People were probably like a week, like when when I was doing, because I had done the Candyman, the first one, like gotten all my stuff ready because we were supposed to do that last week, but our last episode took way too long. But yeah, so I looked up the new Candyman and it still said a week ago, spiritual sequel to the original.
Interesting.
They must have just changed that.
Yeah. Now that it's out and people are like, this is a sequel.
This is actually a sequel. Yeah.
You don't have to put spiritual in there.
Maybe like a spinoff.
Yeah. Although some of it, I'll talk about negatives on how it is a sequel, but some of it doesn't make sense for it to be a sequel. So
yeah,
we'll discuss.
All right. Sounds fun. Sounds like your list is going to be more detailed than mine. Unfortunately, with this one, probably in both. Well, maybe I was going to say both positive and negative, but probably more negative.
Yeah, I just have questions, and I have some straight up negatives, but then I also have some thought provoking points to make.
Nice. All right.
I did like the movie. I'll say that for sure. I did like it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk about what you liked.
All right. So starting out with I'm just gonna dive right in and start at the very, very beginning of this movie.
Okay. Oh, by the way, we're not gonna do spoilers for anybody listening. Until the end, we'll let you know when they're coming.
It's gonna be tough to not spoil like anything because
Yeah.
some of it's very important to the plot of this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will definitely refrain until that very end.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked that they added in the Candyman song at the very beginning of the movie.
Yes.
I thought that was really clever and like really like from like what the 50s or whatever.
Willy Wonka, right? I think it's from. Well, I don't know when the song was written and everything, but it's in the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie.
Chocolate Factory, yeah,
yeah,
makes sense that it would be in there. But yeah, it was an actual song too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was in Willy Wonka. So that was clever. It made it a little bit more light in the very beginning of the movie, which is misleading. And also, I thought, because sometimes when you go into a movie theater, the people working the projector can make mistakes from time to time. And I thought the very beginning of the movie was one of those mistakes.
Yeah.
With how they do like the production companies, how it was like backwards.
Yeah.
Which I mean, you know, it took me a few. There was like 3 or 4 different production companies involved in this movie. And it took me probably the 4th one to like realize what they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, what is going on? This is backwards. Like, but it was the whole like mirror effect, which
really cool.
You have to stand in front of a mirror and say Candyman's name 5 times.
Yeah.
So it was really clever how they did that.
Yeah. I like that.
And then they ended up doing it right. Like a couple scenes later, like they actually had the production companies again, just right this time.
Yeah, yeah.
So they mentioned them multiple times in this movie. So I thought that was really clever and unique. You never seen that done before in a movie. Really made you think that you were gonna like see the entire movie like backwards. The acting was really good. I enjoyed the acting in this movie, and they actually showed more of the kill scenes in this than they did in the last one. And I mean, they were still for the most part off screen.
Yeah.
But there were a few that weren't.
Yeah. And
the way that they did like the blood scenes were unique and pretty cool with some of the kills. And I'm going to try to say this without like spoiling anything, I guess, or ruining anything. But I did like, there were some scenes, especially like towards the end of the movie, when they actually go into explaining what's going on. And it's not gonna make sense without going into spoilers, man. It's hard because like a lot of this movie is gonna be in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
A lot of like the good parts of this movie and probably some of the negatives as well.
Yeah.
But
so you like how it kind of came like kind of wrapped up and kind of came together, or? Yeah,
I liked they talk about the lore of Candyman, but they change it up a little bit in this movie.
Yeah.
Which to me made sense at the end of this movie. Why they would do something like that.
Yeah.
When you're watching it, you're like, that's not how it happened.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I just watched Candyman. That's not the lore. That's not how he became Candyman.
Yeah.
But they explain it more clearly towards the end of the movie. And I like that. And that's one thing that in the spoiler section I want to talk about.
Okay.
And yeah, there were parts of the story that I liked and parts of it that I didn't. So, that for the most part, I did like the story of this particular movie. yeah, I mean, for right now, that's all I want to say because I want to dive deeper into it.
Yeah.
But I can't right now.
Okay.
It has to be layer, like, above ground explanations and not diving deep into this movie yet.
Yeah.
Because this is a deeper movie. This is definitely a more thought-provoking and deeper movie than the first one was. The first one was pretty much, for the most part, a straightforward slasher movie. This one felt deeper than that. Felt like there was more going on than what we got in the first movie.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So for me, I really liked that they connected the original to this new one. I was wondering if that was going to happen at all, if there was going to be any connection, or if it was going to be more so of, you know about Candyman, but now this is our take on Candyman,
Yeah.
Which they do kind of do, but at the same time, it is very connected. So I thought that was cool, especially having just watched Candyman and then watching the new one. It was pretty cool. And like I said in the last review, I think Candyman's underrated and not widely seen by anyone other than really big horror fans. And so the fact that they still connected it, even though that they probably know, like, there's going to be a lot of people that go and see this that haven't seen the original, or maybe saw it when they were kids and don't remember. But that didn't turn them away from connecting the two movies. So I appreciated that, because a lot of times, you'll make a brand new movie, and like, for instance, Halloween 2018, they making this movie, they're like, okay, everybody knows the story of Halloween, the original. Not a lot of people, unless you're a big horror fan, know any of the other movies. So we're just going to get rid of those, and we're going to make we're going to make a sequel 10. based on the one that we know most people know. So they could have done that here, where they can say, well, I don't know how many people actually watched Candyman or even remember what it's about. So, people know about Candyman, the whole say the name 5 times in the mirror story. So let's just make our own version. Yeah. They could have done that, but they didn't.
They did, and they didn't at the same time.
Right.
I did like how they went into, basically the first Candyman was a part of myth. And so they explain the plot of the first one, but in their own interpretation of it, in their own words. It wasn't exactly how it happened. And that's just, what the myth was. It was basically word of mouth at this point. What happened in the 92 version, which I thought was really cool, because what they talked about Helen doing, she did not do. She was talking about how she was like a killer, and she was like this and that, and she wasn't.
She was.
But they made her out to be like this villain.
Exactly.
And,
that was going to be my next positive. It kind of talked about how a story can become like an urban legend and then turn into this like crazy, be manipulated in certain ways to make it scarier, And that, so there's a lot of themes, or a lot of messages, I think, in this movie. And that part, one of the characters is talking about this crazy white woman. And, then he tells the story about how she kidnapped this baby and was going around killing people with a hook and, sacrificed this baby and threw him in the fire and all this crazy stuff that, is not true. So I think that there's something to be said about that, but we'll talk about that in the spoiler section. I like the kills, especially the use of mirrors. With the kills, there was a lot of like reflection stuff, and just the use of mirrors in general in this movie was really cool. It was to the point where every time there was any sort of anything that could give a reflection, that's kind of where I was looking. Each scene, I was like, okay, is something gonna happen over there? Or,
Yeah.
And so I liked that. I liked that a lot. I thought that was really cool camera work and clever.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, there's a couple of good kills. One of them with like a camera zooming out. That looked really awesome.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Question. Sorry. So I was gonna mention this earlier before we even went into positives and like negatives and stuff.
Okay.
And that's about Jordan Peele's involvement in this movie.
Yeah.
How much of this do you think was him? Because I see constantly in our horror movie groups, people are saying, "I can't wait for Jordan Peele's Candyman to come out," and it's like it's not his movie.
Yeah.
It's not him.
Right.
He's not the director of this.
Yeah.
He's a writer and a producer, but it's like she's also a writer and she's the director.
Yeah.
So it's just at a certain point it got kind of old hearing, I can't wait for Jordan Peele's Candyman movie to come out, and it's just like, all right, well, it's not, if you don't like the movie, blame the director. If you like the movie, then,
give the director
yeah, exactly. Give the director, their, what they deserve for this movie.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's the marketing for this movie.
Yeah.
It had Jordan Peele like all over it, over the marketing, and from, it did say from producer Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
But still, Jordan Peele was very prominent in the marketing of this movie.
No, definitely.
Which is very misleading, and I'd be a little bit pissed if I was Nia DaCosta.
Yeah. It's getting her name out there, I guess. And hyping up Candyman.
She is a fairly new, I think this is the biggest movie she's done.
Yeah.
So I get why they would mention Jordan Peele, because he's only done 2 movies, but they were both pretty big movies.
Yeah, I don't get why he is such a big deal, honestly. They were good movies, but I feel like there's a lot of directors out there who have put out 2 good movies that don't get that kind of respect, or don't get this huge marketing, campaign. And so I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's a little weird.
It is pretty impressive because he comes from Mad TV. He comes from comedy. Yeah. And he's funny. He is a funny guy. I used to watch Mad TV when Key and Peele were both on it, and it was a really funny show. Yeah. And he was one of the better people on that show. Yeah. So it is kind of crazy to think that he went from Mad TV to Key and Peele to Get Out. Yeah. That's quite a leap. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
although, I have to watch Get Out again, but there was definitely some comedy in Get Out. It was dark comedy, but there was comedy. There Same with Us. Us had comedy. And I would say that this movie, his input was probably some of the comedic relief. There were definitely a few scenes where there were certain comments made that were kind of funny, and so I would say that that's probably Jordan Peele. His contribution,
maybe the social commentary part of it, at least. I'm sure some of it's the other writers as well, but he is definitely the social commentary director.
Yeah. And that's probably why he's so big too. Because of that aspect to his films. All right.
Yeah, I just had to throw that in there. All right. For the record, people. Yeah. This is a Nia DaCosta movie. Right. Not a Jordan Peele movie.
Let's give her due.
She'll be big. She'll be as big when the Marvel's coming out. I'm sure.
I'm sure she will.
But yeah. So.
Okay, let's talk about some negatives. What do you think?
All right. So this is another one that I think is going to fall into spoiler territory. So I have to be careful on this one as well. Okay. So What I was saying about the plot, like for the most part, I did like it, so it was more of a positive. For what I can say, I'm not going to have too many negatives about it because, like I was saying, I do, for the most part, like the plot. That was, I guess you could put that in neutral because I liked more of the plot than I disliked.
Okay.
But there was still some parts of it that I guess didn't like too much. There's really not a whole lot that I can say right now.
Okay.
That I disliked about the movie because I liked, like I was saying, I liked the story for the most part. It's neutral. I liked the acting, and I again, I guess with same with the original Candyman. I wish they had shown more of the actual killings.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably like my biggest negative for the first one as well.
Yeah.
And for what I can talk about, that's probably my biggest negative that I have for this movie as well.
Yeah.
Like I even liked the like side characters, like the ones that weren't like the main characters.
Mm-hmm.
There was one person, what was it, William, I think, that I didn't really care for. Like the character itself, there was just something about that character that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Okay. Is that the laundromat guy?
Yes.
Okay. He's the one that kind of gives the whole story of Candyman.
Yeah. He's the one that gives the story of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really the only two things that I can talk about right now.
Okay. That
I disliked about the movie.
All right. So for me, I didn't feel like Candyman in this was very scary.
Yeah, no, it didn't really. Yeah, there definitely. It's funny because I was in a theater. I moved to a much smaller town than I used to live in, and so the local theater I went. It was like a 3:30 showing on like opening day, and there were like 3 60-plus-year-olds sitting behind me, and at the end of the movie, one of the people like working at the theater went up to him and was like, "Oh, how'd you like the movie?" And one of the guys was like, "It sucked." This like 60-plus-year-old man. He's like, "It sucked. It wasn't even scary." It's like, wow, I want to be that guy when I'm that old.
Yeah,
like, still going to like these slasher movies.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Opening day and everything. Just go a little early.
Yeah. Get the matinee pricing.
Yeah.
I just thought that was pretty funny.
That's awesome. But yeah, I didn't think the character of Candyman was very scary in this. I thought the way that they used him was cool at times, like with the mirrors and stuff. Yeah. That was cool, and that was kind of creepy when they would just show like kind of his silhouette or whatever, or in the background and stuff. But when you actually see him, he's not scary. You kind of like feel bad for him. Like, I don't know. He's not scary. He's no Tony Todd. We'll say that.
No. Weren't there moments in this that he appeared when they weren't even looking in a mirror when they said Candyman 5 times?
Probably.
I could have sworn they were like, so it kind of goes against its own lore.
Yeah.
If you don't even have to be looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
Because I could have sworn there were characters that said Candyman 5 times and something happened. But yeah, so I guess that can be considered a negative as well. Because if I'm remembering that correctly, you're going against your own rules of the movie that you made up, basically.
Right.
When you do that, so.
I thought the whole social message was a little too simplified. I thought it was kind of like, there's a lot of nuance to the stuff that they bring up in this movie. It's not all as simple as they make it seem in the movie. And I can kind of get more into detail a little later, but I just feel like it was very surface level dialogue that they were having about some of the social stuff that was going on in the film and in the world today. And I'm just not a fan of that. No matter what side you're on, I don't like the just there's just so much to the issues. It's
Yeah.
it's not just surface level. So, I did a poll on Killer Flicks.
Yes, you did.
And because there's been a lot of talk about this movie, and if it's too heavy-handed with its social commentary, and is it too one-sided or whatever. And so I wanted to poll people's thoughts on that. And right now, let me pull it up real quick.
It's pretty crazy how, because
a lot of comments on that.
Like yesterday. And one of them was who added the have not seen.
Yeah.
Unless it was an admin, no one else can do it unless it was the actual person that put up the poll. So
Really?
it had to have been, if not you, then probably an admin of the group.
Oh.
That
Oh,
did it.
wow.
Because I was trying to figure out how I could like add stuff too, just to see if I can do it. And there's no way.
That's so weird. Okay. So, there's been a lot of comments and a lot of votes. So 91 people said no, that it was not too heavy-handed. 26 people said it was. And I just put no and yes. And that was it.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah,
So
I didn't add kinda. Kinda.
Yeah,
2 people said kinda. Someone added that. And
that's stupid. Like,
someone
that doesn't make sense.
someone
it's
else.
not a kinda type of question.
Yeah. Someone else added, haven't seen it yet. And there's 88 votes for that. I'm like, why? Oh, why? Just scroll through it. If you haven't seen it, then okay. Yeah. Why do you have to add something? And then 88 people? Come on, it's so, like, what? I don't know.
Literally just came out when you posted that. Like, of course, these people probably haven't seen it yet. They haven't had time to.
Obviously, this is for people who have seen the movie, not for you to add another answer. Like, I don't know. I just thought that was weird. It's like, I guess they felt like they wanted to be a part of the poll.
Then vote.
Yeah. So, yeah, go see the movie and then go back and you can vote.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyways, Killer Flicks is awesome. There's a lot of good, back and forth dialogue and stuff. Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes it's very immature and rude and, not so fun.
These groups have kind of been getting on my nerves a little bit with, because they talk about like 3 different things. They talk about Candyman right now because it's brand new. And then there's the Hereditary Midsommar argument that goes back and forth too. Like, it's annoying as well. Yeah. And now there's like this Rob Zombie thing going on. And it's like, come on, guys.
Let's talk about something else.
Yeah. There's so many movies you can be talking about. And you're talking about a director. All right.
Who hasn't put a movie out in a while.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just that one. There's like, I'm in like 3 or 4 different horror groups, and they're all the same.
Oh yeah,
like they're all just talking about the same stuff, and it's probably the same people who are in all these groups, just saying this kind of thing to get the flame going. Right.
Okay, a couple more things. I felt like the end was pretty rushed. I thought the whole ended. Yeah, the whole wrap up part, like where this kind of the story kind of comes to a close, was really quick. Thought like it was like the last 5 minutes or something of the movie was just really fast.
It was 90 minutes long. You could have made it a little bit longer.
Yeah, I felt like, and I was thinking that too. Like halfway through the movie, I'm thinking, okay, this is a good pace. But if this is only an hour and a half movie, they're gonna have to really speed it up. And they did at the end, which is not a time to speed up a movie. So I thought, man, this could have been so much better if there was just a little more, I don't know, not explanation, but just not everything explained so quickly and then just wrapped up and then it's over, So anyways, and I didn't like what they did with Candyman at the end. How they made him into something else. We'll say that. He is not necessarily a horror villain in this movie, I wouldn't say.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it at that. Let's give our grades and then we can talk about spoilers.
Okay. So I gave the first Candyman, I think, an 81. I'm going to give this one an 80.
Okay.
A
little bit lower?
A little bit lower than
Okay.
the first one. I did like the first one a lot, and I don't have nostalgia, glasses on or anything like that. I watched it when I was an adult, so I don't have that going on. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed this one too, but I probably should have given the first one like an 83, so I have a little bit more room to work with. Because I don't think it's a C movie.
Yeah.
But it's definitely slightly worse than the first one for me. So an 80. So it's like 1%
just
lower.
A little drop. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to drop my score a little bit too, but I'm going to give it higher. I'm going 87. I gave the original a 90.
90, yeah.
I just really like how this one connected. I was really impressed with how they did that. I didn't think it was going to be as connected as it was.
Yeah. Well, with a spiritual sequel, it doesn't sound like it's going to be connected.
Right, right.
In theory, maybe that's what spiritual means. In theory, it's connected.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
It's not actually.
Right.
But it actually was connected. So I'm glad they changed that.
Yeah, it was really connected. I just feel like that shows a lot of respect to the horror fans, that know Candyman, that like Candyman. And that's kind of another thing I liked. I feel like this movie was for original horror fans and for your casual fan. Because it had that social commentary. It had some creepiness, but not too scary. Which people who are,
a little bit of a background from the first one.
Yeah.
In their own words, like I was saying.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked the connection and the overall audience that they were going for, I guess. I feel like they did a really good job with trying to get new people and classic horror fans to go see it and to enjoy it. So, all right. So you wanted to talk about some spoilers. So let's do that. Let's talk about what you wanted to talk about first.
Okay. So I have more positive spoiler than I do negative. I don't know if we're still doing positive and negative or just diving
just whatever.
Okay. So I liked, like you were saying, the whole connection. The biggest connection between the two is that the main character was the baby in the first movie.
Yeah.
The one where I'm sure had he heard the story before, or was this the first time hearing it? Like the legend of Candyman, like the first Candyman movie. Was he the one actually telling the story? Because someone did mention the baby.
Yeah.
And how she was trying to kill the baby. And then he finds out that he was the baby.
Yeah.
So I liked the connection there. It didn't, I guess that's for the most part the main connection
with him,
between the two. Which I liked it, but at the same time felt kind of unnecessary. They could have used that character for something different, because he's the one that ends up turning into Candyman. They kind of show that in the trailer, like you kind of knew what was going on, what was going to happen. So that part's not really a spoiler.
Yeah.
So they could have had a different explanation for him. They didn't. But I kind of do like that they did have him as the baby as well. So
and they had the same actress play his mom.
The mom
yeah,
was the same actress as the first one, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Another connection.
Exactly.
That whole family, I guess, is the connection. And so that was one of the things. And also the explanation towards the end, if I'm remembering this correctly, when he's talking about the legends, the lore of Candyman, the reason that it was slightly different than what we remember the original Candyman lore being is that it was lore for a different Candyman than the Tony Todd's Candyman.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got out of that, because there was a line that's actually in the trailer. It's a pretty cheesy line, but it explains it pretty clearly that Candyman is not a man; he's the whole hive.
Yeah,
which means that there's more than one Candyman out there.
Right.
Tony Todd is just one of probably many.
Yeah.
Which can actually put this. It can give this franchise so many movies.
Yeah.
You can focus on a different Candyman. If the original actor doesn't want to play Candyman anymore, you can just wipe it out and start clean on a different Candyman, because we know from this movie that there are multiple Candymen.
Yeah.
Candymans.
Yeah.
Candyman.
Well, so then I have a question about that. So is there just one Candyman but has different faces? Like, is it one Candyman? Like, Candyman is like a spirit, or like a being. But
Candyman is, I compared Candyman to like Ghostface. Like, there's like 7 different characters that are Ghostface. But so Ghostface and Candyman are just
Gotcha.
they're basically the spirit of that character. They're the I guess icon.
Like, Candyman is the device.
It doesn't have it doesn't have to be one person.
Yeah.
Candyman, Ghostface, they don't have to be one person.
Yeah.
To have that title. Although, with how the movie ends and Tony Todd comes back for an appearance.
He finally talks. That was another negative.
Talks.
There was no booming voice really until the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm in theaters. I want to hear this.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly. I had to wait until the very end. It's just like one
Finally,
little thing.
I'm seeing a Candyman movie in theaters, and I'll get that booming voice. So it was cool seeing him, but at the same time, like we were saying, Candyman may only have one face.
Yeah.
Different people transform into this Candyman, but the true form of Candyman is Tony Todd.
Yeah.
Which means that he would have to make an appearance in every movie.
Yeah.
Going forward, if they were to go by the whole, because it kind of set it up for that.
Yeah.
Didn't you feel like that? It kind of set it up for like multiple movies.
Oh yeah.
In the future.
Yeah, because at the end at the end he says, like, tell everyone. Like, he wants her to continue the legend so that Candyman lives on and people still say his name in the mirror and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt like it was definitely trying to set it up. And, the main character is killed and turns into Candyman, so now he's kind of, I would assume they're trying to have him kind of take the reins for being Candyman for future sequels. Yeah. That's kind of what it looked like.
Yeah, and future sequels, and also like spin-offs, or
exactly.
If he didn't want to continue it anymore, he's got a career in DC right now, so I don't know how many of these he's going to be doing. Yeah. But yeah, so I liked that. I do like when a movie sets up sequels in the future. That can get kind of annoying after a while, but I do every once in a while do like that. Yeah. And this one did it well. Like,
I feel like it did it well. It could have it could just be done, but it also can, you can see how sequels can come from it. So it wasn't so obvious, like, oh, they're doing that just so we can have a sequel. Like, it wasn't so blatant.
And also, if you've seen this movie and you catch on to that scene, that part at the end of the movie, if they were to change out the Candyman, you really can't be mad, because like he was saying, Candyman's not one person. Yeah. Like, basically is what he was saying. Right. So you pretty much got yourself out of a corner. Right. Yeah. If this actor didn't want to continue doing it. Yeah. Like, you can wipe that slate clean. Yeah. Start over on a different Candyman. And that's exactly what this movie is trying to do for the future. Like, maybe like way down in the future, maybe in the next 20 years or something like that. But still, you have this movie to look back on and be like, okay, yeah. So that's why it's a different person.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be a different story for each one of
Mhm.
an innocent black guy getting killed by the police in Cabrini Green, and now he's Candyman.
It can have a different background. It can have a different lore. They changed the lore in this one from the
it's
original Candyman.
it's still about they definitely connected it to racism though. It was that's what the connection is. That's why Tony Todd's character, they say now in this one, was killed because he was a black man, and he was sleeping with a white woman, so that's why he was killed. Not because he was just sleeping with this woman who he was, not supposed to. It's because he was black. That's why he was killed. So that's why Candyman exists in the first place. And then in Cabrini Green,
also,
where all this happened.
Didn't that happen in like the 1800s?
Yeah.
Like, times were way different back then.
Oh yeah.
And I can definitely see something like that happen back then.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not saying that's wrong, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is wrong, but
yeah. I don't think that they're wrong in assumption that it was a race motivated thing. But yeah, so that's the connection. That's what Candyman is all about, basically, is revenge for these wrongdoings, these wrongful deaths due to racism. Yeah. And, they use Cabrini Green, that whole housing project, because that's a place, it's a real place. It has a bad history. I actually looked it up because I was like, I want to learn more about what this place is, Yeah. Basically, it's a housing project from a long time ago. I want to say it was built in like the 40s or something.
Oh, wow.
And it was built for low income. So it's like government ran, city ran. It's not like privately owned, and just was built poorly. Just horrible living conditions there. Maintenance was not, maintained. So it was kind of falling apart, and it was built in this place kind of in the outskirts, like in a place in Chicago where, tourists weren't going to go. And it was, that whole area was just, the city kind of abandoned it. People weren't keeping up with, just road maintenance and, cleanup of parks and things like that. So it was a trashy place to live. And so that a lot of people would say, and I think deservingly so, that it was done to segregate black people because they were in the lower class, especially back then, to put them in this certain area away from society, away from the rest of the people. And so then as time went on, that place just continued to go downhill with, violence and gangs and drugs and crime and all this. And so it was a place where a lot of bad stuff happened, and we see that in the 92 film. The place looks horrible. Like, that bathroom was disgusting. Yeah. And all the graffiti and just so much. So what I want to talk about is, I feel like there's, like I was saying before, there's a lot of nuance from this place being built to what it became later on. So I don't feel like it's fair to just say, okay, because it's mentioned in the movie, this was a place that was built by white people, and it was, just for black people, and it was, completely racist, and I feel like, and it's like that's why it turned out the way it turned out. That's why there was crime. That's why there was violence and graffiti and drugs and all that. Because white people. That's that's what I mean by it's really simplified, and it makes a very general statement about human behavior. And I don't think that that's fair. And so I don't really like that. Now, was it like racially motivated by white people to build this place to house black people? Yeah, probably. But that doesn't mean that it has to turn into a crime-ridden, drug-infested, violent place. Why does it have to be that? Why does it have to turn into that? You can't blame white people exclusively for that, because people have their own choices too that they can make in their life. And so, you know, I just don't think it's fair to connect those dots. There's not an A, B equals C thing. There's a lot more in between. A lot of steps that have to be taken for it to turn out the way it did. And so, you know, I don't like that. And I don't like conversations like that, because it almost feels like, you know, you're pushing your, ideas onto the audience, because then Candyman, this is probably the biggest negative I have of the movie. Candyman is like a hero at the end. And I'm like, no. Yeah. He is supposed to be a bad guy. I wouldn't even say he's an anti-hero, because he kills these racist cops at the end and leaves the girl to live. He's like a hero. Like, he was like the Punisher, or like Blade, or, you know, at the end. I'm like, no, Candyman is supposed to be scary. He's supposed to kill you no matter who you are. That's what Candyman's supposed to do. Yeah, exactly. So I didn't like that. I'm like, no, Candyman is not a hero. He's killing innocent people. You can't make him out to be this good guy all of a sudden. But I feel like that was almost like the point, because he only killed white jerks in the movie. So it's like, nobody cared about those people.
Yeah, so when he says, tell everyone what you saw to the girl, it's basically saying that, you know, spread the news that I'm, like, killing these corrupt people. And so when you say my name 5 times, I'll come in and kill the corrupt. Yeah, because corrupt people in the
because he didn't kill that lady. She was around the whole movie, and she was with people who ended up dying, and he didn't go after her. Yeah, he went after white people. And so I just am like, it's pretty blatant on screen that that's what you're doing here. And the way that they made Candyman out to be this, and I mean, it sounds like from the story that, you know, they told he was just this innocent guy with a hook for a hand who would give candy to kids. That's weird. That's creepy, but maybe he meant well. I don't know. But so he's this innocent guy who was killed for, you know, wrongfully killed. And then when they show him, like, he's supposed to be scary, but he's not scary. He just looks pathetic. And, like, you're supposed to feel bad for him. And I'm like, that's not the Candyman I want. I want Candyman to be scary. I want him to not have any motivation other than, I'm going to kill you if you summon me. I'm out for blood. Because, like he says, I'm here for innocent blood. That's what he says in the original. Like, nobody is safe.
Yeah, exactly.
But apparently some people are. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't really like that. And another thing I didn't like was, okay, so if you think of Candyman in the way of this movie, he is somebody who comes back as Candyman if they are wrongfully killed in Cabrini Green. Okay. And then he goes and, I guess, avenges his death. And then, but in the first one, so they're connecting these movies, right? So I think it's fair to talk about some inconsistencies with the first film. So you have the first film where Helen comes back and kills her husband. Yeah. Helen was not killed due to racism. She was not killed by police. She was not a black man. So
she wasn't?
So where, you know, how do you explain her coming back as Candyman? I mean, she's not Candyman. She's a woman. So how do you explain that? And so there's that. But then also, what about any of the innocent black people who were killed by gang violence at Cabrini Green? Do they come back as Candyman, or is it just when it's a white cop?
Yeah, I know. It's when it's white cop.
So, you know, I get the point of the movie. I get what they're doing. But there's a lot of questions that you can ask, and then it kind of makes it fall apart a little bit. But I gave it an 87. I mean, I really liked the movie. I thought it was a really well done movie. But when you're gonna have social commentary, then you gotta be prepared for some questions back and some criticism, because especially how like there were certain dialogue in the movie where it was just like white people are evil is pretty much what I kind of got from the dialogue. And so
do you think that is more in your face than say Spiral was?
Oh yeah,
it's social commentary.
Oh yeah, I think so. Because, and maybe not the actual things said, but the actions of Candyman killing only white people. There's this scene where, and these people had nothing to do with anything. There's these girls in a high school bathroom.
Yeah, the high school.
And there's like 5 white girls and 1 Asian girl. And they're doing the Candyman thing and saying it. And then the Asian girl decides that she's scared and she runs away.
Yeah.
Now, when I'm watching this, I'm thinking, okay, there's a bunch of white people, but there is an Asian girl. So maybe they're going to try to not make this blatant. But then they take her out of the scene and all the white girls get killed. And then before they get killed, a black girl comes in and they just bully her and push her around and kick the stall that she's in and stuff. And I'm like, and then this black girl doesn't get hurt, even though she was still in the bathroom. All the other girls get killed. And it's
she was hiding.
She was hiding.
Candyman didn't see her.
Right. Just to be fair, she was not out in the open. But but yeah, so like stuff like that, I'm like, okay, you're saying something without saying it. You're making it. I thought it was pretty obvious that all the people that were killed were white and they were all jerks. There wasn't really an innocent person killed. I mean, all these girls were innocent, of course, but they were white, so they were automatically guilty of something. So I just felt like that was it. You were just white and you were dead. And that's how I felt. But there was one scene, and I don't know if, because I've read a lot of comments on it and stuff, and nobody's really mentioned this. There is a scene where the little boy from the beginning, later in the movie, it kind of goes back to him, and the first time he has an encounter with the actual Candyman, he is trying to get into the bathroom, and his like brother or sister or somebody's like, "Oh, we're playing this game. It's only for adults." And then he opens the door later, and he sees that they were killed.
Yeah,
and they're black. So I'm like, okay, maybe you're trying to throw that in there to, not only kill white people in the movie. So I appreciated that. I
appreciated black people dying. Yeah.
I appreciated the gesture, I guess. Because other than that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so blatant. And the way the cop acted at the end, where, I don't know how things really go, but the way he was acting, like telling her, you can have this story, or we can make you look like a bad guy. And, I'm like, okay, I don't know. Do these things happen?
It really depends. Chicago is a horrible city.
Yeah.
It's like number 1 in gun violence.
Yeah.
In the country. And so, and also you're in a pretty bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I don't know, there definitely are corrupt cops out there. And really, and the worse area that you live in, probably the more corrupt cops there are.
They're probably jaded.
Yeah. And so fortunately, that's probably how something like that
could go down
in a really bad area.
Yeah.
In a really bad part of town.
I could see it. I could see it happening for sure.
In a really bad city on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it. So he was basically like, okay, you can either go with our story that your boyfriend or whatever was threatening the officer who shot him,
Mm-hmm.
or we can make you look bad. And that
Yeah.
was kind of her options. And then she says Candyman in the rearview mirror. So then Candyman comes and saves the day. Oh my gosh, no. Candyman, he cannot save the day. He's a bad guy. Stop making him a good guy. He's not a good guy. So anyways, yeah, so that's my rant, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I feel like it's, you know, such a hot topic these days to, you know, and hot like trend to make movies with these social commentaries and stuff. And I think that's always happened, but I think today it's a lot more prominent, and I think you can, you know, get people to see a movie because of that. You know, if you stir up some sort of controversy, or conversation at least, then you're going to get people to go see it. So
yeah, the bigger deal you make out of something, the more people are going to be interested in it.
Yeah,
that's why, like, when people like boycott movies, it makes the news. It's like you're doing the complete opposite of what you're trying to do here.
Right.
Like, you're trying to get people to not watch your movie, but by boycotting it, you're making people more curious about it.
Right.
And then it gets televised on the news. It's like, okay, well, might as well just not say anything at all.
Right.
At that point. Or like you say something on social media. It works. That actually probably works better than the news, because
it gets to more
people.
Yeah. I saw that it made 22 point something million over the weekend.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
That's for today, that is pretty good.
Yeah.
But people are still not going to the theaters.
Yeah.
And it's not anywhere streaming right now. So.
Yeah. But, you know, all of my rant, I don't want to be misconstrued as like so negative, because it's a really good movie.
Yeah, it's still 87.
Yeah, the movie itself, like the way it's filmed and directed and the acting and just, it's really cool. So I would definitely recommend seeing it. But like I said, if you're going to have a movie with this social commentary, then I'm going to kind of pick it apart a little bit and let you know, like,
and that's what it's there for. That's why they have movies with social commentary, so we can get it's commentary. It's social commentary.
Right.
They want people to talk about it.
Right.
So
there you go.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like you can't talk about it though. At the
Not
same time.
in a negative way.
Yeah. You can't criticize it. You know, you have to talk about it and think that it's amazing. You can't criticize it though. So that's what sucks about today. I feel like you can't have open conversations as much. So, but you can on Scare Talk.
Exactly. You can. I wish it was like a way people could like comment on our actual podcast itself and not have to go to like Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah, we just need to set up our own like social media.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if we get on Discord, we can do it on Discord.
People actually,
so
figure that out.
Yeah.
It took us long enough to figure out YouTube. So
yeah. Okay, well, this has been a long episode, about twice as long as usual, so we'll end it there.
All right.
We've got, what do we got coming up? Texas Chainsaw? We're going to jump into that?
We can jump into that. We don't know when the new one comes out, but there's enough of these movies that, by the time we get to the last couple, I'm sure we'll have some sort of a date.
Yeah.
Or it'll be the end of the year by that time.
Yeah. We got Insidious.
We still have to do Insidious as well.
Yeah.
So
we'll do both of those.
I would probably switch it up. So, it's not like bombarded with one series.
Yeah. So we can do both of those, and then we'll throw in,
random
Antlers
ones.
And
I saw
Malignant
for that with I think this movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, I completely forgot about that movie.
Yeah.
It still didn't say when it was coming out, but
it's coming out on October 29th.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It didn't show that. I was really looking for it. All right.
So that month, October, we have Halloween Kills on the 15th.
Yeah.
Last Night in Soho on the 22nd.
Yeah.
And then Antlers on the 29th. So
and I'm sure there's at least one or two more.
Yeah.
That come out that month too.
Yeah. So it should be good. And then we got Malignant in a couple weeks.
September
10th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one
Close
looks
to my
really
birthday,
good.
So that can be a birthday episode.
Okay. So yeah, look out for those. And
yes.
We'll talk to you later. This has been Scare Talk.
Sleep tight.
Don't let the hive bite.